Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Lex Morningstar, and today I'm going to tell you guys the 4 countries every INFP should visit. Every INFP, or most, we're all individuals, but most INFPs have a sense of wanting to belong somewhere, and usually that's kind of outside of their home countries. It just kind of depends on where they feel like they can be 100% themselves, where they can feel accepted for who they are. And unfortunately, for many INFPs, we are at the wrath of Western society. Because in Western society, it's all about wanting to be the best, wanting to be on the top. It's about competition and about production. So sometimes an INFP may not feel like this is really for them and often seek out other realities. Now, come on, let's face it, we will not ever find our utopia in this world, sadly. However, there are many countries and many cultures which the INFP would probably feel much more comfortable being in and being surrounded by the cultures, surrounding by the cultures and being in the countries. I probably could have worded that better. Now, fortunately for the INFP, there are many countries that are able to fit this description, and especially places that allow the INFP to feel like they can be themselves and to also engage with the introverted feeling and extroverted intuition. Whether this means that small talk may be few and far between, or they can create lifelong friendships, or they can be inspired by the vast landscapes, then I'm hoping I've got you covered. I am going to be talking about 4 different countries that will suit the INFP. However, there are many countries that will. So I will show you some honorable mentions. I just want to quickly thank my mother-in-law. I have 2, so this is my other mother-in-law. She is an expert travel agent, and she had given me a little bit of insight. And I also want to thank my friend Eliza from a country I don't want to just mention yet because I'll be revealing it in due time. Thank you so much for giving me your rich insight into the country you are from. Much appreciated. Oh, and she's an INFP too, and I think that's really cool and special. I'm a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Mix it all up in a big melting pot. A whole lot of flavor, a taste sensation, melting on the tip of my tongue. I'm a crossbreed, baby. I got a little bit of everything in me. Take it away, Lex Morningstar.
俺は地球から貴様を倒すためにやってきたサイヤ人。穏やかな心を持ちながら激しい怒りによって目覚めた伝説の戦士。
Konnichiwa. My first country is Japan, if you could not tell already from the little Dragon Ball Z reference. Sorry, I had to add that in. It's my favorite. Now, I have always had a soft spot for Japan and Japanese people in general. Through my schooling years, the schools that I attended welcomed international students to be part of the school. And every time would get Japanese students in. That was it. That was me. I was attracted to these people. I was attracted to their demeanor. It was their mannerisms, the way that they would talk, what they had to say. It was just so much different than growing up with Kiwis. And not that Kiwis are bad, but it's just something that I'm used to, And getting to know Japanese people, I felt like they brought this richness into my life, something that I could learn from. And when they would involve me in their culture, I just felt like I belonged with them, if that makes sense. So that's why Japan is my first chosen country. The duck that quacks is the first to get shot. Now that is a Japanese proverb, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, the virtue of silence has been a core value of Japanese history, to which of course extends into their modern culture. The Japanese value quiet communication, and they believe that there is a lot of wisdom in listening other than talking. To them, being able to listen and be in silence is a strength of character. They value harmony and honesty and tend to be very polite kinds of people. I mean, obviously you're going to find an array of personalities, but this is just the culture as a whole. With almost 52% of Japanese identifying with the Shinto religion and almost 35% identifying with Buddhism, the Japanese value themselves on being a very peaceful nation. The Japanese involve themselves with spiritual practices which the INFP would probably identify with or value themselves. Now, at the core of these two religions, it's all about the force of life, otherwise known as ki. For the Japanese, ki is the essence of intention, which is where the Japanese get their values of doing good in the world and sending that kind of vibration out into the universe, as they believe that that is what they'll get back. The Japanese lean towards more of a minimalist lifestyle and don't need big spaces to cohabitate in. They're not the type of people who would accumulate clutter either. Now, I know INFPs kind of tend to be a little bit messy, but as an INFP, I prefer to have less than more, so this does resonate with me. The Japanese have a strong sense of community and value working together for a higher purpose, for a larger vision. They are very hospitable and have been taught to be mindful of others. There is a lot that you can experience in Japan as a visitor. It is a really cool culture to be a part of and learn from, and there are many things that you can do and many places you can go in Japan that will really give you that cultural enlightenment, namely the infamous Buddhist temple. I'm not going to pronounce it because I'm going to pronounce it wrong and I would rather just not. So there it is at the bottom of the screen. Now this particular Buddhist temple, which is located in Kyoto, is a very special one. Now this is because it is known for its connection with nature. This connection is due to the fact that there is an indoor waterfall which is fed by an outside river. In Buddhism, it is all about the flow of energy. And as an INFP, I love the fact that you can be energetically connected to nature in this way. You can also visit the Great Buddha of Kamakura, which is one of the most celebrated Buddhist figures. Now, INFPs have moments where they want to be creatively inspired, and Japan absolutely can give the INFP what they seek. Japan is a beautiful country with beautiful nature, and Mount Fuji is absolutely an advocate of that. Standing at just over 12,000 feet, the mountain can provide fantastic opportunities for photography, and what is even more of a bonus is that it can be hiked. While experience a sauna is up there and amongst the most relaxing and reflective things that you can do, there is much more to Finland that would suit the INFP. Finland not only offers this amazing pastime, but there are many more aspects of Finland that I so love and would love to share with you today. Let's just start off by saying the INFP will feel very much at home in this beautiful country. Finns tend to be very reserved and quiet, yet they have no problem with the naked human body. Now to me, that speaks in volumes. Finns value modesty. They are a humble bunch and don't believe in boasting about what you have. They're not interested in overinflating their accomplishments and would rather keep that quite private. Finland roots itself within egalitarian values and see men and women as equal. It is not uncommon to see a woman in top positions within politics or big corporations. And they most certainly do not have any qualms about being able to pay for the bill after a date. The gap between the rich and the poor is also small, and Finland have made it so that education and healthcare be extremely accessible for those of a poorer demographic. Finns have a strong sense of national identity, and while they are not interested in boasting about this, they love when visitors take the time to really get to know their rich history and their sports icons. To them, it means that you appreciate who they are and you respect who they are. And I feel that this just does not go too far from introverted feeling or being an INFP. That's something that we as INFPs value. Like the Japanese, Finns also value quiet communication, and they believe that what you say in a conversation you should absolutely mean. It has to be authentic if it's going to come out of your mouth. They are reserved around strangers and secondary relationships, but this is not to be confused with being aloof. Finns are like this because they respect other people's personal spaces and would like the same respect back. Nudity, of course, is very normal around Finland and not at all seen as taboo. Finns respect other people's bodies and all different shapes and sizes. Finland is covered with 70% forest, and Finland has more forest and water than any other country in Europe. Now, what makes this fact ultra special is this value. I will not pronounce it, but I will say that it translates to every man's right. What this basically means is that every man can walk freely in amongst nature so long as you don't disrupt or harm the natural environment. Now, I've been told that during the period of Ruska that being able to be a part of Finnish nature is even more magical. Autumn is my favorite season, so of course I'm going to list that fact. On the subject of magic, Finland, of course, is home to the real Santa Claus. None of this North Pole nonsense. Santa lives in Lapland. You can actually go and visit Santa's office, and there's a really cool amusement park there. So if you ever visit Finland, go and check that out. Finland is known for its very iconic festivals, such as the Midnight Sun Film Festival. And they also have this really interesting day, a day specifically for failures. They have a very interesting sense of humor, and I like it.
What are you doing this weekend? I'm putting up a retaining wall. Do it yourself? No, I'm going to get some broken. Oh, come on, mate, do it yourself.
No, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I felt like I didn't really have any other option but to list New Zealand for two reasons. One, because I know the country off the back of my hand, seeing as I'm a citizen of this country, and two, because it really is a good place for INFPs to visit. New Zealand can provide the INFP or its visitors with the opportunity of really being able to be yourself. New Zealand kind of encourages people to go at their own pace, and you'll see what I mean as I will explain further. Kiwis value friendliness. We are taught from an early age, treat people how you'd like to be treated. Kiwis tend to be a very open-minded bunch who value harmony and also have the mentality of to each their own. It is not uncommon to receive a warm and genuine response from a Kiwi. I think the cute thing about Kiwis is that we have this thing called Kiwi ingenuity, which is where we like to be able to solve a problem with very little resources and in a very unique way. When I was working for my mother-in-law at her nursery, there wasn't a proper irrigation set up, so I kind of got a little bit creative and did this. A hose sticking out of a pot. We have a very strong sense of national identity, whether that be through our national sports team such as the All Blacks rugby team or our claim on Pavlova. Now, for all of you viewers who are Australian, you'll get that one. Kiwis have a very laid-back attitude. We are very go with the flow kinds of people, and we don't like making a big fuss out of things. Kiwis value a work-life balance, and while many are very hard workers, we tend to be very lifestyle oriented, and it's very iconic for a Kiwi to go on a summer holiday. Now, Māori culture plays a huge part in New Zealand society. Now, the Māori are in touch with nature and energy, with their community, and with influence, otherwise known as mana. Māori place great value on their whānau, their family, and their whakapapa, where they come from, what they are rooted in. It's very important in Māori culture to keep those traditions, those values, those beliefs alive in today's modern society. Now, if you are a Lord of the Rings fan, I probably don't really need to explain that New Zealand would be right for you. Of course, New Zealand and The Hobbit were filmed in New Zealand. So if you come to New Zealand, you can visit these sites. I haven't yet, unfortunately, but James and I really wanted to get married at Hobbiton, which is just about an hour and a half away from where we live. However, it's probably a little bit out of our reach due to the expense, but wouldn't that be lovely? You probably like the fact that in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, you get a little bit of a sense of what New Zealand looks like, the mountains and the forests and everything. And you know, that's one thing I really love about New Zealand is that you can go anywhere in New Zealand and experience snow-capped mountains, lush green forests, desert-like plains, subtropical beaches, and fun-sized cities. New Zealand is great for the thrill seekers, especially in Queenstown when we've got all the adventure sports. However, we have also a very chilled vibe. So New Zealand is great for when you want to go on road trips or camping or just chilling out on the beach, and for quiet hikes. So there you have it, New Zealand in a nutshell. When I lived with Papa, he used to tell me what he thought about everything, so that I would have no other opinions but his. He used to call me his little doll, and he used to play with me like how I play with my dolls. And then I came to live here in your house. That was part of a script from the play A Doll's House, which is from the Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen. I hope I pronounced his last name right. And Norway has a special place in my heart. Norway has certain attributes which really suit the INFP, such as the way that the Norwegian culture is, and also Norway's nature. Norwegians value humility. They aren't interested in flaunting what they have, their achievements and their material wealth. Norway's values are also rooted in egalitarian values. Norwegians see all people as equals, and as a welfare state, all of their people have access to free education and free healthcare. Many Norwegians value the minimalist lifestyle and prefer not to have big, large spaces to cohabitate in. They believe in only taking what you need. Norwegians are private people who prefer not to engage in small talk. They believe this to be a sign of respect, and again, expect the same respect back. Norwegians believe in a good work-life balance. They work on average 7.5 hours per day and value their time off to do things with their family, their communities, to travel and to engage with their sports. Norwegians love skiing. They don't define themselves as who they are on a professional level. Rather, they define themselves as who they are as people. Norway is known for its iconic fjords, which are scattered along the Norwegian coastline. Norway tends to be a top pick for nature lovers due to their vast mountains, their fjords, and of course the Aurora Borealis, which is my favorite. The other thing I love about Norway is its rich historical heritage, to which if you watch the series Vikings, you could gain more of an accurate historical representation through their museums, through old sites and also through Viking markets, which I really want the opportunity to go and visit. Now, of course, there is much more to Norway than what I've covered here today, and also with the other countries that I've talked about. I wish that I could have spent an hour talking about each and every one of them. I hope you really like this video and have gained a little bit more information on these 4 beautiful countries. But I hope you have a really good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all again next time. Bye guys!
Mexico too. Oh yeah. I'm a fistful of rock and a little pinch of fun.